So could former President Trump form his own political party? Well, the MAGA Patriot Party National Committee just filed paperwork with the Federal Election Commission. Now, the Trump campaign is listed as the beneficiary. But here's the thing. The Trump campaign already filed a complaint with the FEC. It claims the campaign did not agree to fundraise with this Patriot Party, so we're going to have to see what happens about that. Of course, this wouldn't be totally unprecedented. We haven't seen anything like this, though, since Teddy Roosevelt created the Progressive or Bull Moose Party in 1912. Of course, we all know how that turned out. Roosevelt ended up splitting the Republican vote with his former Vice President, William Howard Taft. He actually got more votes than Taft, who was the incumbent, but basically by them splitting the Republican votes, it handed the presidency to Woodrow Wilson, who only won with 42% of the popular vote.